Civ 6, what districts to build. If you click on a city, and then you click on the button on the right, it says change city production, you're going to see everything that you have already produced and some that you could produce in the future. I'm going to go through all of them, and I'm going to explain which ones are important, kind of like a rank order, and then we're going to go back again a second time, and we're going to go in depth for every district. City center, holy site is a little bit important. Campus, not that important. Encampment is kind of important. Harbor, I would say, is definitely important. Aerodrome, kind of. Commercial hub, definitely. Entertainment, no. Theater, not important. Industrial zone, very important. Neighborhood, sometimes. Aqueduct is important. Spaceport, not important. So the holy site, you only need a few holy sites. I only had one, and my one holy site was managing all of my religion for my civilization throughout the game. And eventually I added a second and a third. This is going to be one of the last things you're going to add, which is going to be the holy site. It's going to help spread your religion. It's going to protect your civilization from other religions coming after you. But like I said, save it for more towards the end. The campus is for science and technology. It really doesn't matter that much, because if you're on a big map, eventually everyone's going to research everything. It's only necessary if you have a very fast-paced game where people are advancing very quickly and you need to get to the next technology as quickly as possible in order to get some sort of an advantage. It might be important in the higher skill level games. I don't remember what they're all called, but they have different names. The higher difficulty levels. And the reason why is because you need certain technologies as quickly as possible. In the old games like Civ 4, you wanted to get the railroads as quickly as possible. Now it doesn't matter so much. The encampment is important if you plan to go to war, but you can win the wars without the encampment. It'll help you with your military. The harbor is very important because if you have a city that's near the coast, they only have half the land. So what happens is they have to take advantage of the water as much as possible, and having the harbor allows them to build a navy, probably opens up sea-based trade. At least that's what it did in the earlier versions. And it gives you a little bit of extra production bonuses. So having a harbor is kind of important. The aerodrome, definitely important. Having an air force is going to be better for you in the game. You can attack enemy units over long distances in the map. If they're in your territory or near your territory, you can attack them within a few turns. And you can do a lot of damage. You can go after the Navy, you can go after their Air Force, you can go after their city, you can go after their land units. It's really good. You can even go after their tiles like farms and their districts. So you want to have that, but you don't need every city to have the aerodrome. And you don't even need it to have the airstrips, because your military engineer can build airstrips and you could put the planes in the cities. But you're going to have some cities that have aerodromes. Kind of spread it out. If you have a big civilization, you do one on one side of the map, one on the other side of the map. So this way you have airstrips in multiple locations, etc. The commercial hub, the game is about having gold. The more gold you have, the better, the easier the game's going to be, because with gold, you can buy military units, you can buy tiles in the game, and you could probably buy other things that you need that are going to help you win the game. It's almost a universal currency, although faith is a currency also. So you want to have gold, you want to produce gold, You want to make sure you have lots of gold. You want to make sure your cities are producing gold. You want to make sure you have commercial hub. Entertainment, you don't need it, but it's good to have, and you don't even need it in every city. You can drop it in between a bunch of cities, and it has a 6-tile range. So it can help 6 different cities. I'm sorry, it can help all the cities within a 6-tile range. You only need 1 entertainment complex. You can share them, and you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it little by little. You can build one, and then after you do 100 turns, build another, and then build another. You can kind of slowly do it. It will help with amenities, and it's more important later in the game. At the beginning of the game, not so much. The theater is used to expand your borders because you produce culture, and you create great works of art, which can earn you bonuses such as tourism, and you can trade with them. So you need it, especially if you are competing with someone else for territory and you don't want to pay gold for the territory, and to protect your border, because his culture might be so strong that your city might love his culture more than they love your own civilization. So you want to have a little bit of theater, especially in your border cities, but ultimately it's not that important. It's more important if you have a small civilization, because you got to protect your borders. If you got a big civilization, only the cities at the edge of your civilization need to have culture. The industrial zone is very important because it improves your production. You can produce more when you have the industrial zone. Producing more means that everything you produce will be produced faster in a shorter amount of time. It shows you like 10 turns, 12 turns, 12 turns. Having more production means you produce it faster in fewer turns. The neighborhood allows more people to live in the city. You check down over here where it says housing. Mine says 21 out of 35. I don't need additional housing. Maybe later in the game I'll need additional housing, but I don't need it now. And then aqueduct is similar for housing, and it's something that was like a base part of every Civ game, so it's kind of important early in the game. Spaceport, you only really need one. If you're doing the space race where you have to accomplish it before everyone else, then obviously you're going to want to have like 5 or 6 spaceports. But in a general game like Domination, you don't need it at all. However, you want to build at least one because you do get extra bonuses. For example, you see my mini-map. I can see the entire mini-map because I launched a satellite. So that's one of the benefits from the space race. You get other benefits, which it will tell you. You know what? I don't know where my spaceport is. I could just guess. Maybe it's over here. One of these cities has a spaceport. And it shows... Oh, okay, I know where it is. It's up here in the north. See, it says launch Mars reactor. And then you've got the Mars habitation and the hydroponics. It gives a little pop-up which gives you information as to any benefits that you get from launching something. And I've launched 2 items. I don't remember what they were, but when I launch them, after it gets completed, it makes a little bit of an announcement, and it tells you what you earned by doing the launch. Okay, so those are all the districts, and I'm going to show you on the map. The harbor is the one over here with the lighthouse. Over here we have what's called the holy site, which is your temples. The blue one over here is the campus, which is all your scientific research. This looks like production or energy. It's not doing a pop-up. It says industrial zone. This one over here is obviously entertainment. You see there's an arena. You'll see fireworks, something spinning around. Over here we've got the aerodrome. And over here we have what's called the encampment, which is a military base which you can use for defense. You can park a unit here. You want to put these close to your border, and you can use it to attack enemy units that are adjacent. This over here is the theater. This is commercial hub. This looks like a neighborhood. So I don't see an aqueduct. There's no aqueduct. And one thing that's weird, it says neighborhood and it says that it is owned by this city, but there's an option to build another neighborhood. And it's really weird if you look over here. These were enemy cities. Look at how many of these neighborhoods he built. There's at least 4 of them around the city. I don't know how he did it, and you cannot destroy them. So you got to be very careful about what you build, because there's no way to get rid of these things after you've built it. So again, the encampment you want close to your border so that you can reach into the enemy territory. The entertainment complex you want in the middle of many cities. The harbor you want on a coastal tile, but ideally you want it in a place that's somewhat protected. You don't want anyone to have access to it. I usually do a location that's kind of surrounded. And when I build a island, you can't build all of the districts. You can only build the harbor. So that's your only choice, is to have the harbor. It's a necessity with small plots of land. You can also build, you used to be able to build it on the land, so you'd be able to pass through the land, but it looks like you can't do it anymore. Now you got to do it on the water. That's one of the differences. Okay, now when you do the districts, you're going to get different units. For example, a destroyer, you probably need the harbor. This place doesn't have the aerodrome. See aerodrome, it's ghosted out. I cannot build the jet bomber or the jet fighter. They're ghosted out. If I come over here and click on this, you see I also cannot build jet bomber or jet fighter because there's no aerodrome. Also, obviously you cannot build the boats from here. And there's going to be situations where you might not be able to build something because of the type of land you have. So with the districts, the neighborhood goes on a certain plot. You see how it says +5, +5, +6. You want it on a +6. That gives you the most value. In some cases, you can pay gold. I did it for all the small buildings that have a small gold value. But once it got a higher gold value, I just research it instead of spending my gold on it. And you notice I've gotten up to almost 1,000 turns. You take the cost of building it, and it tells you how much gold you earn. Let's say you've got the commercial hub, and it says +3 gold for the bank, and it takes 300 turns. No, 300 gold you got to pay. That means it takes 100 turns to break even. So you might not want to spend your gold on it. If you can research it in 10 turns, you can break even in 10 turns by researching it. Save your money for building units. So again, the most important one's going to be commercial hub and industrial. Second most important are going to be, and also harbor. It's going to be the aerodrome and encampment, because you need them for your military. And then I would say later in the game, you're going to need neighborhood and definitely aqueduct. And then the research, you're going to be fine with science. You're going to be fine with culture. They're not going to compete with you that much. You're going to be okay with the entertainment. You're going to need some. And there's other ways to resolve the issue of entertainment with the amenities. So focus on gold, production, military, and then all the others. Okay, that is Civ 6 districts and buildings. You can go to my discussion forum, which is at cheapbooks.cc. And over here, I put information about future videos I'm going to make. And I have guides that I create. If I come up with tips, I'll put in the list of tips any ideas that I have as I get them. You can see this is a new document that I created today, because before I did, you can look at the Civ 5. You see there's a lot of tips for Civ 5, and I go into a lot of details, and these are tips that I created on my own. They're not tips from other players, and they're very specific. And I am the owner of cheapbooks.com, which is a book search engine where you can search for books and textbooks, and it's really good. There's over 600 million listings for bookstores all around the world, different languages, all sorts of different bookstores, large ones, small ones, publishers, authors, etc. And you should be able to find whatever you're looking for, and the website's pretty fast. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.